Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to share with you guys some top tips on how to prepare for the behavior questions for your one-on-one interviews. And this is a question I got asked a lot. What do I do if I don't know the answer or I have not prepared? Also, what is considered a good answer? What is not? So today I want to share with you some top tips on how to best prepare those behavior questions. So let's do it. Before I jump in, just a quick reminder, I share everything about UX from interviewing tips, portfolio critiques, and also tutorials on my YouTube website. So if you are interested on this type of content, please feel free to hit the subscribe so you won't miss any of my future content. So my first tip is have a pocket of stories. There are many different behavior questions. You can just Google search top UX interview questions. I'm sure you will find a bunch of common top interview questions to get prepared for. But, some are probably evaluating, how to collaborate with others. Some might be evaluating how you deal with conflict when there are disagreement happening. It's really hard to predict what questions you might be getting at interviews. But what you can do is prepare and have a pocket of stories based on your project experience. How to start? I think one way to start thinking about it is, think about the latest project you have been involved and ask yourself, what are some memorable moments? And what might be something you felt really struggled with, or what might be some challenge you had. Just start a doc, typing it down. Start from messy, that's totally okay. Just write down as you think out loud, what was the problem? What was the challenge? And how did you approach it? Also, at the end, don't forget what is the outcome. Okay, the second tip I have for you is have a structure. Storytelling is the really critical part, I think, carried well through your entire interviewing process. And especially when it comes to those one-on-one interviews, it's really critical, like how you prepare and frame your story, because those are actually happen like more of a conversation, a dialogue format. You don't want to go into too much details, like say spending like 10 to 15 minutes just answering one question. And to have a really good structure, I think is a really critical step for you to feel comfortable and super confident in telling your stories at those one-on-one interviews. So when it comes to structures for storytelling, feel free to refer. There are many different template or framework you can borrow the idea from. One thing that I find pretty useful is the STAR model, where it stands for situation, task, action, and result. And it's really just giving you a framework so when you tell the story, you can keep it in mind, starting with, okay, what is the situation you're dealing with? For example, currently the company I'm working for, the mobile app, has a really high job offer rate during the onboarding. So then the T is talking about tasks. So what is the scope of your work? The task is here given to me is to redesign the onboarding experience for this mobile app. And the third is A is talking about action. Here is really you can start talking about how you approach the problem, what actions you have taken in solving the problem of redesigning the onboarding experience. And last, the R stands for result. Here is very important, I think, for any story you're telling. Always keep in mind that at the end, what is the result of your efforts? If it is getting launched, whether it's successful or not, what did you find out? For example, say by redesigning the onboarding experience for this mobile app, I was able to help the company increase the onboarding successful rate by 50%. So just as one example, this is a good place if you have any data and quote, try to use it so it can have a strong ending of your story. This is the place, really critical, no matter what story you're telling, what is the end result, even it might be still, the product might be still in development, what was the outcome? If you did any research or testing, experiment, how has your design successfully solved the user problem or helped the business of the company? The third tip I have is do your homework. What I meant is, when you are going to those one-on-one interviews, the better you know your audience, you will feel more confident. So feel free to ask your recruiter to get an idea of who you're going to be meeting, who you're going to be having an interview with. Try to learn about the team and the people that you will be talking to. And if it is not possible, try to analyze the job post. What are some minimum requirements, and more importantly, like what are some preferred qualifications. So for example, if you know the team is looking for someone to work on their AR and VR product, this might be a good hint that if you have some experience working or designing 3D experience, whether it's gaming or architecture, this might be a good time to bring it up. To demonstrate that why you might be the best candidate or best match for this job. So the purpose of doing your homework is really to get to know the team and the interviewer you are going to be connecting with, and to kind of get an idea like what is the ideal candidate might look like for this team. So that can help you frame your story and also better address the questions during your one-on-one interviews. Okay, tip number 4, don't fake it. There are, different range of questions you can get at interview questions at those one-on-one interviews, but there are like some questions I see people quite often struggle with. For example, what's your weakness? What are something that your team might describe you're not super good at? People like sometimes try to fake it and make it like a pretty answer that sounds like starting with something like, okay, sounds like my weakness, but then it started turning into a strength. I think honestly it can feel pretty weird if you're just trying to fake it, and can feel not quite authentic. Nobody is perfect, and this question is not trying to fail you in the interview, but to trying to understand, do you know yourself well? In addition to what you are good at, do you also know what are some areas you want to improve or continue developing? So I think this is actually a perfect chance to give an honest answer. The good answers are often don't just end with the weakness itself, but also continue with a plan, like how do you plan to improve it? So when I got asked those questions, like what would your past team say you do really well, and what would they say you're not so good at, the good side, no need to worry about it, that's super easy. But when I answered a question of what am I not so good at, one answer, just for your reference, I had was meeting management. As I grow in my career, I realize I become more and more often hosting meetings, and with a large group of people, often involved cross-functional stakeholders. One area that I would love to improve and continue work on is to communicate the meeting goals and agenda well ahead, so I can help the team member to justify whether they need to attend the specific meetings or not. This is one area that I would love to improve on, and so I can help my coworkers and my team better prepared and to use the best of their time. To give you another example, when I back to the time when I interviewed with Google, I did not actually have much experience working accessibility, but as you all know, accessibility is one of the top priority of the organization, and I got multiple questions during my interview with Google around accessibility. At first I felt quite nervous, like how do I answer? I don't really feel like I know a lot about this topic, and of course I didn't have much working experience on this topic. But one way you can handle, for example, the question, what do you do to ensure a design and its implementation are accessible? When I answered this question at my interview, I just tried to be honest. First of all, to be honest, I did not have a lot of experience working on accessibility in my past jobs. This is an area that I am really interested and would love to learn more. But one example is when I worked on a router app project, I learned that using color alone to make critical information understandable is not a good idea, because there are users who might be color blinded or visual impaired. So the app itself used to only use colored dot. For example, green means well connected, red might means there is something wrong, there you need to do some troubleshooting. And when I redesigned the experience, I challenged this part. I recommended a team to consider introducing both color and also visual icons to indicate the status of their internet. One tip I learned is, just try to print your design in black and white and check if users still will be able to understand everything in it. It's a good way to see if there might be accessibility considerations you haven't thought of. So that's kind of how I answer this question. You can think of accessibility is actually pretty much involved in a lot of side of products and experience design. You might not have very specific or in-depth experience working on accessibility, but I'm sure there are things related to visual hint, icon, color, or visual hierarchy. So try to think about the related experience, and instead of fake it or try to make something up, I think a better strategy is just be honest but try to explain your understanding and develop your point of view when it gets to certain topic like accessibility. Okay, last tip I have is be human. For one-on-one interviews, it's usually a chat. Have a conversation. If you didn't quite understand the question, don't rush or try to interpret it. Just pause and ask the interviewer to clarify. For example, you can say something like, I'm not sure if I completely understood your question. Would you mind tell me a bit more about what did you mean by blah, blah, blah? The purpose of having one-on-one interviews is to, often to evaluate the candidate's soft skills, how they communicate, how they collaborate, how you think from different team members' point of view. Quite often, the interview itself is not just about evaluating hard skills. At the end of the day, they're looking for someone they will feel confident and happy to work with every day. We know that how stressful interviews can go, but try to embrace the process, take it from a different point of view. You're just there to exchange information. The end goal is not necessarily moving forward or getting a job offer, because you never know. I think interview itself is try to understand each other, both for the interviewer and also for you. Would this be a company that I would love to work for? Well, I enjoy working with people on this team. Switching mindset really helped me back to the days when I looking to make my career transition into UX. So hope this video is helpful for you, and let me know what you think. Please feel free to leave me any comments, and I would love to hear what's your thoughts and what are some other questions you'd like to hear about. So I will end my video here today, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks. Bye.